What is up, Axiie fam? I'm finally back to Brazil and we're gonna have a really good video today, and it's all about math. So let's get down to the video because I know this is boring and I don't want to lose any of you guys, so stay tuned. So here's what we're going to talk about today. I'm not 100% sure if this was announced by Sky Mavis 100%, but you know, this is not really hard to extrapolate. And if you read a lot of Reddit threads, if you see a lot of content creators talking about it, it pretty much all boils down to, or at least feels like it's going to culminate into axies having 6 skills instead of having 4 skills. Why else would the ears and the eyes have actual skills instead of just like being a fish part or an aqua part if you wouldn't use them, right? It makes no sense. And basically, this has a lot of difference in how breeding is going to work out once Battle 2.0 comes out. Let's, imagine an axiie. We're gonna call it D1, D2, D3, D4. It could be Nutcracker, Ronin, Imp, Nutcracker, all right? Basically, you have 4 skills. And imagine this is the axiie that you want to get. Now, let's say you want to breed and you have this axiie that is D1, D2, D3, D4, all right? So the D genes, they are exactly what you want. But then you only have the R1 and R2, the R1 in 2 of those parts. The other 2 parts here are R8 and R9, which is not what we want. And then the R2 is totally random, right? Tomato, potato, whatever. And on this side, you have D1, D2, D3, D4, just like the first axiie, but you have R3 and R4. So basically, you have 50% of the R1 that you want, and the R2 is total randomness. Right now, this means that for each part, so mouth and back and tail and everything, you would have a 0.834, which is 83% chance of getting that actual part. To calculate the chance of getting this axiie that we talked about, you would need to make this elevated to 4. And where this number came from? Well, this number came from this. So each D part gives you 37.5% chance of something happening, but you have 2 axies, right? So if we go back here, you have D1 here and you have D1 here. Let me get a calculator going. So it would be 0.37 plus 0.37, and in the case of first gene or the mouth gene here, we also have R1, so we have to add 0.9, and there you go. So that is about 0.83 or 83% chance of that happening. And since we have 4 parts, the chance of breeding these 2 axies and getting the same core skills, this is the chance, which we're going to calculate now. So if we go here and we get this calculation going, there you go. It is a 47% chance that we can obtain the same axiie breeding one time. But what happens if we have 6 genes instead of 4 genes in this case? Well, here we go. So we have D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6. And in this case, we also only have half of the R1 genes. So this axiie here has R1, R2, and R3, which is what we want. And on the bottom side, it has R8, R9, and R10, which is not what we want. And on this side, it has R8, R9, R10 in the first ones, and R4, R5, R6, which is what we want on the bottom side. And I know this is a little complicated, but it is the same percentage. All right, so since we have D1, R1, D1, but something that we don't want, it's still 0.34 for each part to get what we want. But now we have more parts, right? So when we breed these, it is not going to be the same number because now we have to elevate that number to 6. And if we do go back to O from alpha and try to calculate, now we have a 32% chance of getting that axiie instead of the 47. And you might be like, I mean, this is only 15% chance, right? It doesn't change that much. Well, if we actually try and calculate that, it actually does change quite a bit because it is 46% harder to get, given the same, gene probability of an axiie. It is 45% harder to get what you want, which means that in this season or last season, whatever, when you had a certain axie and you bred it 7 times, almost always you would get what you're looking for, unless you had, super wonky genes. In version 2.0, this is going to be harder. Not only that, I think one aspect a lot of people don't talk about is the fact that since there's going to be a huge change in how, not only in balance, in like skills changing, but there's going to be new skills being introduced, all right? So you're not going to have axies. Like right now, if you want to breed Nutcracker, there is a ton of axies that have D, R1, and R2 with Nutcracker. On the other hand, if a new skill comes out, this is kind of crazy, right? Because the only way you're going to be able to get those skills is actually with mutations. It's going to take so much time to isolate some skills. And then you also have the fact that to get the exact axie that you want that has 6 skills is going to be much harder than an axie with 4 skills. But now I want to show you guys another number, all right? Because here, what we did is we actually had half of the R1 genes that we wanted, correct? I think with a lot of the new axes and a lot of the new skills that we will want to have, it's not going to be that easy. Like at best, you're going to have only D genes of the axie that you want. So what I want to do here is compare if you only have D1, D2, D3, D4, and then everything else is a freaking mess. And the number that you get here is now 0.74, right? We talked about how each D contributes to 37.5% chance of that axie happening. Yes, there's mutations, but I'm not sure a lot of people know this. Mutations only affect R1 and R2 genes. So mutations, they don't actually get into the calculation we're doing now. We're only interested in D, and that's not going to be affected by mutations. Anyways, when you do this calculation, there is a 30% chance of you getting this axie here when you have all of the D. You have like the same skills on both axes, but the R1 and R2 is a total mess. When we go to 6 genes, then it's only 16% chance, and that is almost double, right? We talked about 45% being the difference in this case here. Now it is pretty much almost double the chance, or half the chance, when we get to version 2.0, and this is insane. Breeding is going to be, I think, a much harder and riskier endeavor. Obviously, there's probably going to be a lot of incentives to having pure axies, much more than there is today, right? Right now, and I mean with the videos that I did in this channel, it is pretty much a given that finding those kind of wonky axies and just trying to put them together, it is cheaper and gives you more money than if you get 2 super pure ones. Right now, the super pure ones are already overpriced, and I think they're going to be even more overpriced and also harder to get. And why harder to get? Why would it be harder to purify axies in the future? And we get now to that conversation where they were talking about mutation. So a lot of people don't know this, but before, I don't know when exactly they introduced this. I think it was this year. In the past, if you had a 100% axie, if you had a 100% axie and you bred this axie with another 100% one, there wouldn't be any mutations. So you would literally be able to print this forever, which meant 100% axies were de-talked of town. They were like insane. They introduced mutations so that it would be much harder to keep printing 100% forever. That only affects obviously R1 and R2. So every time you breed 2 axes, the R1 of this skill, the R1 of this skill, will have a 10% chance of being a random one. When you have 6 skills instead of 4 that matter, this means that further purifying stuff is going to be harder, because you have this 10% chance being more relevant overall to, right? Because you have 6 instead of 4. And yeah, I mean, this is all just a lot of what ifs, because we still don't have those things going on and happening. But I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about, because it keeps me, kind of thinking about it. Maybe they would increase how many times you can breed axes. It's not going to be as risky, because imagine, like, you have a D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6 axie, a D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6 axie, and you breed it 7 times, and you don't get a single one that looks like the parents. Like, that would be crazy. That would be so much harder to actually get axes that you want. And I don't know. I guess obviously they're going to introduce ways so that you can change some skills. And I guess this is going to help mitigate a little bit of that. I'm not sure if you guys saw the tweet. I'm gonna go here. All right, here we go. So this is the axiie. This is the, I guess, concept we were talking about. We're not sure if it's going to be SLP, if it's going to be another coin, if it's going to be AXS, but you would spend a resource and you would be able to maybe change a part or another part. And you know, that's kind of like the rough concept. This is super old. I have no idea how it would work, right? If like you would spend a little bit of money or SLP, and the skill that you have in a part would randomize to all of the other parts, right? All of the other mouse possible, or if there would be like only the ones that have the same type, or if it would only be two like they show here. I had no idea how that would work. So this could maybe make it easier for breeders to still like get what they want when you breed 7 times, because you know the cost of breeding did increase a little bit. It would be kind of disheartening to breed 7 times and not get what you want, even though like it is a relatively good axiie. Oh, yeah, I actually want to talk about that, by the way, because let's go back to the example I was talking about. You know, this one where we have only the D's correct, all of the R1 and R2s being awful. So you have a 0.74% chance of getting the axiie, right? So what is the chance that you breed 7 times an axiie, you know, just like this one, and you don't get what you want? Well, the calculation is like this. So it's 1 minus 0.3 elevated to 7, all right? Which is an 8% chance of not getting that axiie, which is very small, right? You breed 7 times, 8% out of 100 would be the ones where you don't get that. But when you look at the new form of axiie, the probable way that axiie is gonna work with 6 genes, it is now a 16% chance here. The chance that you don't get what you want is 30%. Like 1 in 3, like this is a huge increase. This is 4 times more likely that you're not gonna get what you want, even though you bred 7 times. So yes, I think some aspect of this is gonna help. I guess they could increase the amount of times you can breed, but maybe that would be too big of a chance of a change. I don't know if how the market would respond, how the players would respond. But yeah, you know, a lot of conjecture, you know, just me talking about something that I actually didn't see anyone talking about, so I think it's like fresh or an interesting take. And yeah, thank you guys a lot for watching. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, make sure to comment, you know, if you like this, if you want me to talk about something specific. Also, make sure to check our Discord channel. We have an amazing bot that does a lot of things, and in case you want to know more about what it does, how it works, you can join the Discord server. Make sure to DM me. I'm, you know, right at the top in the Discord server. I'm D2 Bowie there. And you know, I think you might be interested, you know, if breeding, playing axiie is something that you're very passionate about, or if maybe you're just starting and you want someone to guide you along the way. So thank you very much. Have a good one, guys, and bye.